Hello friends, welcome back to Simple Solution. Today I am going to explain chapter 5 from Alternative English Bina Kutir. It is written by Saurav Kumar Chaliha. The story is based on a person who is looking for a rented house in Guwahati. Then he entered to a neighborhood house. Around their neighborhood there were full of concrete buildings, commercial sites and business people. Then the narrator saw a L-shaped Assam-type house and a Bina plant. The narrator gave the name Bina Kutir. The compound was not clean. The wooden gate was eaten by termite. The roof was stained white by pigeon waste. Around Bina Kutir there were large RCC building and it was surrounded by godowns with residential space of Harlakan truck and bucket work and Singhania Drugs Pvt Ltd. The narrator thought, if I get the Bina Kutir in rent, it would not be a bad place to live in with mother and my college-going brother and my sister could also come and stay after her hostel days. There would be space. The Bina plant, which is flowerless, will flower again. The dust leaves would turn into green ones. It would not be far off from my office by bicycle instead of staying in RCC buildings. Bina Kutir is much attractive. The narrator was ready to pay 50 or even 100 rupee more. It was the season of winter and an almost heat. He moved to right side PK Ride Ice Makers Annapurna Bread. It was the evening time. I drink Coca-Cola in the stationery shop. The salesman was young, 27 to 28 old, and was studying economic notes. He was preparing for BA. The narrator told to the salesman that I am new to this place and searching for a rented house. The salesman told that I live in Kumarpara and just walked there as a salesman, and he didn't see anyone living in Bina Kutir. The salesman told during his high school days his school was taken for military use and he had come to Vishnuram High School to attend morning class. The salesman told the narrator that during his childhood there was no RCC building and even where his shop stood there used to be a small Assam type house owned by PWD officer named Burjan Kolita. He later brought down the Assam type house and built big building in which he was making a lot of profit. The salesman told that the Bina Kutir was occupied by Sanskrit teacher of Vishnuram High School named Bhudar Goswami. There were two sons and daughter. The elder son was a professor somewhere and the younger son was studying for medical in Dibrugarh. The girl was married to a man who owned a Ford car and was Kharjwai. The narrator imagined that Bina Kutir was neat and clean by the family of Bhudar Goswami. The portrait was hung with a flower garland around it. The Bina plant was flowering and a young girl was sweeping the leaves in the compound. In his first imagination, the Bina Kutir was owned by the elder son, Parmesh, the professor. He was telling a person, Ganeshda, about his desire to preserve his family home and his desire to build a library in his father's honor. He also spoke about his disinterest in financial gain and material profit if it would bring disgrace to his father's name. The narrator told the salesman to inquire about Bina Kutir and left the place. The narrator came back next day to the stationery shop, but there was a middle-aged man instead of the young salesman. The narrator took a bottle of Coca-Cola and started to imagine about Bina Kutir again. In his imagination, he saw a girl who is now a grown-up woman and assumed the name as Bina because of Bina plant, and Bina's husband name as Bhavananda, and they took care of the house. In his second imagination, he was discussing about the unconditional love for one another and their respect and responsibility to preserve the honor of Bina Kutir. Even though they would not be able to live there because Bhavananda's job was such that he had to travel a lot. The narrator imagined that owners of Bina Kutir must be honorable people who are not tempted by wealth and fame. He said that there are still people like Hudar Goswami, Bhavananda, Parmesh, and Bina who preferred family honor over wealth. On his third visit to the narrator, imagine the younger son, the doctor, had inherited the family house. Binakuti thought he had left his family after disobeying his father and marrying a Punjabi girl named Rehana. The narrator imagined how the doctor expressed his honor and respect for his father and the family house. He promised to honor his father's decision and preserve the legacy of the family even if he could not live in Binagutir. The situation turned out to be expectation versus reality for the narrator because in reality the sons were far from honorable and forgiving. The salesman got the information that the house remained uninhabited because there were legal battle between the two brothers. The elder brother wanted to open a press in place of the old family house because publishing book was profitable business while the younger brother, the doctor, wanted to build an RCC and opened his own chamber on the ground floor and put the building on rent. After hearing the fact about the house from the salesman, the narrator sat in an silence for a long time. He realized that the owners of Bina Kutir were just as normal and selfish, greedy and worldly like just any other person. The salesman said that if you want immediate rented house, I have found information about an accommodation in Lasit Nagar. The narrator drank the last drop of Coca-Cola and kept looking with emptiness for a long time.